Hello, my name is Elizabeth Foster and I am the founder of Connect to Coach. And at Connect to Coach, what we do is we connect you with expert coaches that are all certified, have a minimum 3 years experience, and are actually really, really good at what they do. And today we are joined by one of our expert coaches who actually has quite a unique speciality, but I'm going to let her tell you about that. So welcome to Melissa.
Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much, and lovely to have you here. I appreciate you coming and just chatting with us. So I kind of alluded a little bit that you've got quite an interesting niche in your coaching speciality. So tell us what that is.
Well, I work with millennials or young professionals, and they're usually ages 25 to 35. And at times in their life, they experience anxiety and stress when they're making this transition into real life. And I help them find motivation, know their worth, develop desirable relationships, and then with that, they can create successful career paths.
So I think I find that fascinating that you work with millennials, because I think that there's such a great need for that in our society at this moment in time, because the millennials, they are our future. So what actually led you to specializing? Well, actually, two things. What actually led you to being a coach, and why did you want to specialize in working with millennials?
Well, I've been a psychotherapist for over 20 years. And during that time, I've just found that my clients, they have these issues that are not anything that's wrong with them. And they're not things that need to be fixed therapeutically. So I've worked with teens and college students, young professionals, actually any age. But this age, these young professionals have all these ideas and concerns, and they really just want direction and support. They want to make things happen themselves, and they want to move forward. They don't want to stay in a holding pattern. And coaching supports this path that they have, and it provides my clients with the forum to explore all the new possibilities that are out there, and also provide them with the accountability that they're looking for.
So I'm fascinated by that, and I think it's just such a necessary area to be working in at this moment in time, and actually so full of passion and potential. But actually, you talked about being a psychotherapist.
Yeah.
Thank you. I always get confused between those two, and maybe there isn't even a difference. But anyway, so what actually even led you? What actually led you even to becoming a psychoanalyst?
Well, I'm a social worker.
Social worker. Okay.
Always been a social worker. That's me. I've always just wanted to help people, and I want to help as many people as I can. And I want to be able to share my knowledge and my experience with other people. Someone really close to me once said to me that they've cried the tears so I don't have to. And so I really take that to heart. And so to me, that means that I had the experiences. I know what it's like, and I can help you through it so that you don't have to struggle the way that I did before. And young people today just have so much potential. Mm-hmm. But they're not, a lot of them are not using it, and they don't know how to kind of embrace it and put it forward and discover really what they're good at and what makes them happy. This is the first time that happiness is at the center of everything that we do. We talk about it. Everything, we need to have a passion. We need to be happy. We need to like what we do. We don't just take jobs anymore because they provide a paycheck. Millennials want to have a job that also makes them feel good.
I love that. And I can see that you're really passionate about working with these millennials, and I can imagine that the work that you do with them is actually quite profound and actually has a huge impact on their lives.
I'd like to hope so. I've seen them go from being really frustrated and stuck to changing the way that they view their jobs and their coworkers, and really learning that they're building a foundation, and what they're getting will lead them to where they want to go once they figure out where it is that they want to go.
And I'm kind of listening to you, and I'm thinking about the many people that would really benefit from working with you. And so you coach millennials, but do you also coach other people or organizations that interact or employ millennials?
Well, you can't do one without the other.
That makes sense.
Because they have to learn to communicate, and they see things very differently. And so it's being that intermediary, and it's really laying the groundwork and framing it so that each generation understands the other.
And that makes total sense, the fact that you can't possibly do one without the other, although I can imagine that actually there might be a young person that comes to you who says, you know what, I just need some help just working out some of my own stuff, but I can also really see that the benefit that an employee or an organization would have from really working with you as well.
Yes, it goes together, and the work can either be together or separate, but what one does affects the other.
And I'm also thinking, I'm a businesswoman, and I'm also thinking about that return on investment. So somebody might look at working with you and they'll, well, why do I need this? But actually, what I can imagine that return on investment would be multiplied over and over again, because you're creating that wonderful communication and that connection. You're that bridge between the employer and the millennial that they're actually struggling to understand.
Right. So millennials are unhappy with their job choices. About 42% plan on leaving their job within 1 to 3 years. So as an employer, if you hire someone who is in that age group and they start working, you don't want to have to keep changing over because they're not getting what they feel that they need from their job. You want to nurture that. And you want them to stay. You don't want to have to start all over again every year.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
If a millennial is not getting what they want, it's not like other generations. They will leave.
So really, that you're talking about the retention, you're talking about the job retention. So obviously when an employee takes on a new employee, they're really giving them, they're investing in them, they're investing in their training, they're investing in many aspects, time and all the rest of it. And ideally what they'd want that to bear fruit and for that person to stay with them. But what you're saying is actually, if a millennial isn't happy, they're going, hey, I might as well be out of here. Because, what's important to a millennial?
Well, first of all, it's more than retention. It's about having a pleasant work experience. So while they're there, you want to do the best that you can. And you want them to feel that they have the opportunity to learn and make themselves better. And so, can you repeat your question?
So I was just talking about, what actually is, we're talking about the millennials and what actually makes them happy. What are they actually looking for?
They're looking to be able to, it's not about the money. as much as it is about how they feel. They want to do something for the greater good. They want to know that they're being appreciated. Positive feedback goes really far with this generation, and it keeps them going. They want personal development. They want to know that they're making themselves better on a regular basis. And as an employer, if you can provide those things, then you're creating a new culture and joining the different generations that work for you.
So I can really see that there's a big difference between an older generation, for example, who might, get a job. And actually, the other day I was talking to somebody and they were saying that they were in a job for 20 years and they hated it and they were so unhappy. And what you're saying is actually that the millennials are actually coming in and they're like, you know what? There's more to life than this. So, I mean, how does that work? I mean, how do you come in and create that bridge between the millennial and their manager, their boss, whoever it is?
Well, they have to feel that they're getting something in return. The world is a much smaller place than it used to be. So they travel and they want to experience things. And they need to feel that what they're doing is worth something. So for employers, they see it's very traditional, and we work from 9 to 5, and we start at the bottom and we work our way up. And millennials, on the other hand, want what they want and feel that they can do the job that they set out to do automatically. So it's finding a way to understand each other and really understand the reasons behind why you do the things that you do so that you can learn and make yourself better. It's not just someone making you spin your wheels because they're enjoying it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. Melissa, I'd love for you to share, if you can, just an example of somebody that you've worked with. Obviously, not mentioning names or companies,
Right.
but what is an example of one of the results of a coaching experience?
Well, I had this young man who was very unhappy with his job. And when he came in, he spent so much time complaining, and he just felt everything was wrong, and he was not accomplishing anything at work. And his life outside of work was kind of, wasn't as good either, because he was always focused on what was going wrong. So first we sat down and we spent time trying to explore what his expectations were for his future and where he felt he was doing things right and where he wasn't. Then we kind of started to talk about what options he thought he had and how he could get the things that he wanted. And we talked about it, and we used various tools and planning apparatuses to kind of figure out what was good for him and what he felt good about. And as we worked through this and the light bulbs went off, he began to be more present in his job. And each week, he found himself enjoying things more. And he found this path that somehow emerged through all of this that really put him where he currently was, and was a way to use what he had as a foundation to get to where he wanted to go. And while he did this, he found that his relationships with his family and his personal relationships outside of work also got better.
I love that. I think that's such a great story. So you work with this young man, and it sounds like you make a big shift in his professional life, but actually also you're making a big shift in his personal life as well.
Well, we spend most of our lives at our job, right? We spend most of our days there. So if we're unhappy there, it kind of bleeds out to every other aspect of our lives. But if we can be happy there, then it goes out to everything else. And they're all related. You can't like kind of compartmentalize one or the other.
So I can tell that you're really passionate about what you're doing here, and that you're, you know, there's something inside of you that's really connected and very authentic when you talk about working with millennials. But I don't want to be putting words in your mouth. I'd love to hear from you. You know, what actually gives you the greatest joy in coaching?
Well, I like the whole process, but I have to say it's that moment when my client finally sees what I can see. And this potential kind of comes out. And it's almost physical in the transformation. And then all this new work, the real work starts to begin, because now they're not hindered by where they were, and they can see their future.
That makes total sense. So and you're I can see that that passion within you is very in alignment with everything else that you're actually doing. So, you know, what would you actually say to an employer that was thinking of you know, hiring you?
I would say that if you're tired of having your new employees kind of either get frustrated and not do their work and kind of go through the day, then I'm the person to get them motivated, to show them the importance of what they are doing. I'm also the person who can help the place who are already there connect and find common ground with their new employees, so that their culture and the office kind of grows and becomes something new.
I love that. I think that's just so powerful. Thank you. Okay, so we found out a little bit about what you do professionally, but I'm always curious to know about people personally as well, you know, because we're a whole person. So tell me, what are some of the things that you do outside of coaching? Let us, you know, let us inside the other side of Melissa.
Well, I spend a lot of time with my family, and I just really enjoy being with them. And I have to say that as I've gotten older, I've done a lot more things that I wouldn't have necessarily done when I was younger. I'm not afraid of what other people think anymore. So I will dance in the street if I need to, because laughter, I think as long as we're laughing, then that's what we're supposed to be doing.
I like that. That's so funny, because actually my daughter, I remember years ago, she used to say to me, you know, as long as we're laughing, we're living fully. And it's kind of actually exactly what you said. So there we go. What are your, I mean, I know that you're very passionate about the millennials and about coaching them and supporting them in their life. And that actually, I mean, I love the fact that you work with, as I was saying earlier, you know, it really is, you're working with our future, because they really are our future. But, you know, what else are you really passionate about?
What am I passionate about? I'm really passionate about helping other people. I want my clients to see the possibilities. I don't want them to get stuck. I want them, and people in general. I think that we go through so much of our lives being unhappy and wanting things that we kind of think we want, but we don't have, that we forget about our lives and we miss out on so much.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that one for sure, for sure. So, okay, you're a coach. I was a coach for many years. Coaching, as you say, is very different from therapy, because it's future focused. That's where we're going. So, we're on the subject of Melissa now, and not clients. So, what are your goals? What are your ambitions?
I want to change the workplace. I want, you know, millennials are going to be, or are starting to be, the largest group of within the workforce. There's so many of them, and it is a hard time for them. So I want to be the person who changes that and changes people's opinion of them, and finds a way for everyone to, a much smoother way of working together.
That's great. Really wanting to change the workplace, and I certainly know of many workplaces that would really benefit from working with you. So yeah, they need that help. So who do you admire, and why?
I admire those people who work really hard for the things that they have, whether they succeed or not. They take their passion and they let that drive it themselves. So it doesn't matter what the results are, the fact that they reach for their goals no matter what the circumstances. They have this positive attitude that I think we can all benefit from. And I think it's something that I always strive for, but it comes very easily to them. So I admire it so much.
I like it, and it's a very powerful statement to make, because I think that to really allow that to happen is, the world could be a lot different place if we just listened to that and we all took a little bit of that advice. So there's, you and I could carry on talking for a long time about what's going on and the millennials and how they're so needed, and the ways of working with them. But what I would really, but I know that we're kind of coming out of time now. But before we go, I just wanted to ask, what percentage of young professionals do you think are actually currently unhappy with their career?
I'd say probably about 50% are unhappy. And it's not even about being unhappy. 29% are engaged, which means the rest are not. So whether they're fully disengaged or they're kind of making just there, that's a large percentage.
29% is actually quite frightening. If you can imagine that you're employing somebody and only 29% are they actually there with you, that's an awful lot of man hours and time and everything just wasted. And I can imagine that just by having that, by actually sitting down and working with you, that return on investment that they would get would be huge.
That's the goal, is to take those who are actively disengaging because their jobs are not meeting their needs, and turning that around.
So what would you want most for your clients?
I want them to define their quality of life. I want them to know that it's not their experiences, it's what we do with it that makes us who we are. We're always going to change, and we need to embrace that and have it become part of who we are in a positive way. And I also really want them to understand that there's so many possibilities out there that we're not limited. And there's nothing that's off the table if it's explored and worked on hard enough. Because there's no reason that people should be unhappy or just going through life, like you said, and having their job, but being miserable.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I know so many people that would really benefit through working with you. I think both both, you know, the millennials themselves, but certainly organizations that would really benefit from working with you, and teams. You know, if you've got millennials, if you've got a team of millennials, you know, you really, you know, they really should be on the phone right now and calling in. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. It's fascinating listening to you and finding out, you know, really understanding that need, with, you know, in having a millennial coach and the benefits that it can bring, both a millennial and as I say, that organization. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for letting me explain what I do.
All right, take good care.
You
Bye bye.
too. Bye-bye.